Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. We're back, baby. I'm back in Canada, so let's get it started. Let's get it pumping with a brand new tier list video. Now, there's a lot of stuff to get to for the tier list video, so we're just going to dive right in. I haven't made any sweeping changes yet to the overall layout in terms of like the different categories and how characters are ranked. Keep that in mind, but that will be happening very soon. Probably the next tier list next month that I make will do that, because we need to just address the fact that we have tier 4s now, and we also have to address the fact that we have sort of a build up, an excess of very, very strong characters on the left side. And it's really, in my opinion, it's always good to balance a tier list and sort of make it more restrictive rather than less restrictive, because it's not really helpful to players if I'm telling you there's 100. Like how many characters are here? If I just drag this is 108 characters. Like that's not really helpful for me to tell you that there's 108 borderline meta characters. That's not helpful. So I'm going to fix that. That's going to be coming in the future. Just keep that in mind. But for now, what we've added is, of course, we've added all of the brand new uniforms. We haven't gotten any characters since Echo, so there's no new characters. But we're talking everybody since Wong. Like, we're going all the way back to Multiverse of Madness, the part 2. So Wong and Ancient One, or sorry, not Wong, Ancient One and Baron Mordo uniform and upgrade. And then all of the stuff since then, including, you know, an up to tier 4, well, tier 4, still level 80. But tier 4 Moon Knight and Elektra. Now, as far as the icons go, we got rid of one of the icons. We ditched the no healing icon because last time I checked, meta characters nowadays get healing. I can't tell you the last time we got a meta character that didn't have a heal that wasn't just a support character, right? We definitely get those now and then, but like Ghost Rider is probably the most popular character without a heal in Marvel Future Fight, and he was released back in 2020. So it's just not useful anymore to give you that information, because all of the characters who it applies to, Namor, Black Panther, etc., they're either borderline or they're not useful at all, right? Like they're just relegated to the very end of the list, the sort of the Baron please rework category. We also have the free-to-play gods there with Green Goblin, but that's sort of another situation altogether. So we got rid of the skull. We instead replaced it with the following 2 icons. We have a really cringy red devil for Dormammu GBR. I'm open to suggestions on whether you guys want to change this to something else, because I personally don't like it, but it was the best thing I could do on the fly. A little bit of jet lag. And then there is a nuclear icon for tier 4. And of course, that only applies right now to Moon Knight and Iron Man. And even though Moon Knight can't get to tier 4 yet, I wanted to highlight and give him that icon because he can get to level 80. And the reason why I specifically chose the nuclear icon for Moon Knight and Iron Man is because the tier 4 upgrade is very polarizing. It's very, very, very good. Players who have even just a mediocre build, right, with mediocre cards, just really average build and average cards, can get their Iron Man or their Moon Knight to 80, and they can experience this insane jump in power, especially for very specific content like Dispatch. You can see an insane jump in your ability to clear content, whereas before the level 80 increase, some players were stuck at, like, you know, Dispatch Sector 7 or Sector 8, and now they can go all the way to 11 or 12 without changing anything. No card upgrades, no Pierce upgrades, no character upgrades besides the level 80. So it's very, very polarizing, but I wanted to use it as kind of a warning symbol, hence nuclear, because although they go nuclear offensively, these characters have a short half-life. Well, they might have a short half-life. We don't yet know how the devs plan on handling the tier 4 upgrades, but as we know, Captain America was the very first tier 3. He wasn't the best tier 3 for long. He got replaced quite quickly, and it's possible that Iron Man and Moon Knight also get replaced as the premier tier 2s 6 months, a year down the road. So that sort of serves as a warning sign to you that if you're going all in for these characters now, they may not last forever. So anywho, jumping into the list, I want to talk about the changes we made, the characters that we moved around first, before we talk about the characters that have gotten upgrades. So we actually upgraded Makari over Spider-Man for meta-defining speed types because of her dominance in GBR Dormammu. She is just head and shoulders above every other speed type, pretty much, and she does so with very little support, with like basically just Cersei. I also upgraded Gwenpool here because she's also pretty good for Dormammu GBR, but she specifically needs Deadpool's new uniform leadership, so it's very, very sticky and sort of specific. Also upgraded America Chavez here from the update because she's just very good in PvP. And then I also upgraded Valkyrie and Sif, even though they didn't get anything because they're just amazing supports for Dormammu GBR. So they went from meta-ish to meta gods, and then I downgraded, a heavy downgrade on Gilgamesh. He's basically nowhere to be seen in the PvP meta these days. Same thing with Luke Cage, and then I just moved Maker down because, like, I know some people are still in the old days of like Maker, brilliant energy, he's so good. He's really not. He's not. There's better combat types, Blade being one of them. There's better combat types, and a lot of his power comes from the brilliant CTP. So yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. I also moved Silver Surfer down from meta gods to meta-ish. Again, these are sort of hints and clues at wider problems that I want to address in the meta that the tier list hasn't really addressed lately because I have been on vacation and I haven't been able to update it. But yeah, Silver Surfer got bumped down. Ancient One got bumped up to meta gods. It may be a bit of an overreaction, but Ancient One is a solid DPS with a rage CTP, as I and Beast Mode and other content creators showed you. So not bad at all, right? Could probably keep up with Human Torch, maybe, or maybe Kingo. So right there offensively, but then as a leadership, Ancient One is insane. And then as a support, Ancient One is really insane, right? Ignore dodge and elemental damage is huge. And you can use Ancient One quite flexibly with pretty much anyone as long as they have elemental damage to provide insane buffs for pretty much any kind of PvE content, right? Whether it's Dispatch, Dimension Missions, World Boss Legends, Squad Battle, ABX. It's quite good for Ancient One. And then I think that's pretty much it. Nadia Van is all the way over here. We're not going to talk about her too much. She got her Awakening, but she's pretty much useless. The only... pretty much useless, borderline useless. The only thing you could use her for if, and it's again asterisk, big if, you got her artifact, is she's a sort of healer-ish for something like Alliance Conquest, sort of like a group healer. But even then, I would say that that's a massive stretch, and I don't suggest you build her up for that unless, again, you're like a massive simp, which is fine, and you have her artifact. You absolutely must have the artifact, otherwise she is, I would say she's pretty much useless. Now, for the characters that got upgrades, Baron Mordo, I honestly think he's just a solid transcended character. He impressed me the most when he has type advantage against blast types, and he has a pretty straightforward burst rotation, but other than that burst rotation and some decent healing, he just doesn't have enough to stick with the meta, so he's still sort of either overshadowed or competing with characters that got uniforms up to a year ago, or at least a couple of months ago with characters like Corvus, and then last year with characters like Silk. So not really making waves, but honestly not a bad character at all by any means. Nova Sam Alexander, I didn't do any research on him personally, like first-hand research. I haven't transcended him, but we all know that Nova was always sort of good-ish for PvP. It was just survivability that was his issue, and then he couldn't keep up with tier 3s and native tier 3s because he was still a tier 2. Now he gets his transcendence, so he gets a bit of a stat bump, but honestly his stat bump is not enough, and he needs his artifact to punch up, and he needs a max build. So that's what I gave him, the hammer for PvP and the puzzle piece for max build. If you go all in on your Sam Alexander Nova, you could maybe make him work as a niche PvP target, but he's certainly not going to be top 5 for PvP. Certainly not going to be an autoplay god like we've gotten used to with more recent PvP characters like Adam Warlock, Emma Frost, Spider-Man, etc. So a bit of a warning there, but there are some really great videos about him, like by Beast Mode, etc., highlighting what he can do if you really build him up quite well. Speaking of Beast Mode, again, since I've been a bit behind testing these new characters, I saw his video on Robbie Reyes, and turns out he's quite good on his own for Squad Battle. Now, I don't want to exaggerate his value, so I actually still put him below Ghost Rider, and if you have Robbie Reyes' artifact, he's actually a good support for Ghost Rider in Squad Battle. Alternatively, or maybe more popularly, you can use Ghost Rider and Robbie Reyes together with the Ghost Panther support, so hard to say, in Vibranium Squad Battle, and sort of alternate between the two of them, bursting off damage through Transcendent skills and tier 3s, but as a World Boss Legend character, as sort of like just your run-of-the-mill PvE character, I think he is a bit disappointing and a bit underwhelming. Not enough stats, not enough damage for PvP type thing. So he's sort of just relegated to this like gray area or this super niche area of just squad battle type situations. But still good, not bad by any means. And then we have Blade. Blade got a massive upgrade. I really love Blade's rework, and he's also just so much better now as a leadership. So he provides a lot more flexibility to your roster. He's not just a DPS, he's also a lead. He can buff Moon Knight, he can buff other weapon masters, and ones that will eventually get their turn again in the sun, like Wolverine, for example. So always good for him. Amazing pairing, amazing support pairing with Taskmaster, which is awesome. And Blade basically rocks most PvE content outside of something like Squad Battle ABX. Those are really the only game modes where I think he struggles a little bit. And I'd say his build is maybe a little bit less flexible than we thought. Like, yeah, Rage is best for GBR, but he just does so much better with a proc Obelisk, and it's so easy to play. And the burst on the tier 3 is just so good. And then we have Elektra. I really wish I could put her higher, but I can't, because I don't know if she can actually out DPS characters like Kate Bishop and Hawkeye and Black Widow. Well, I know she can't out DPS Black Widow for sure, but then for PvP, right? It's so frustrating. Commander made a really good video about her if you want to check that one out, but she seems like she should have all the tools to be right here with Hawkeye and Captain America Falcon, but she's not. Her stats are just abysmal. They really nerfed her in the stat department, so it's pretty disappointing, but that's sort of where she lands. So not really an interesting pickup, I think, at this point, considering she's only going to out DPS older uniforms or paywall uniforms at this point. And again, I don't even think she out DPSs Gwenpool, to be honest with you. The only thing is that Gwenpool is so annoying to use because it's a paywall uniform, plus you have to get Deadpool's uniform, right? Like, Gwenpool on her own is not going to perform as well as she will when you give her that insane lead from Deadpool. Like, the Deadpool lead is just so busted on her. 60% increased damage to boss types. Let me tell you, it's nutty. It's allergy triggering nutty situations. And then we got Shang-Chi. I only bolded him here for Dormammu GBR. He's still trucking along, still just a solid character. I get some people asking me from time to time, like, is Shang-Chi great for PvP? Like, no, there are definitely better options for PvP for sure, and the existence of Adam Warlock and Emma Frost make Shang-Chi less of an attractive option, which is the same reason why Wolverine and Gilgamesh just vanished from the PvP meta. So you sort of have to do some thinking, right? When I put the hammer here, I'm not saying, like, this character is good for PvP with no build. Like, that's not what that means, right? You have to, you know, apply at least a double-digit IQ to some of these icons, okay? But is Shang-Chi bad for PvP? No. Can he counter certain characters? Yeah, he definitely can. Like, and he's pretty solid. He's got reflect, he's got crazy burst heals, and quite strong damage with iframe ignore. That's always going to be good for PvP. It's just that the PvP landscape right now favors blast types, which severely hampers the existence of combat types. If we get a massive shift to speed types, which we thought we were going to get with Echo Lead, Spider-Man, Elektra, RIP, then Shang-Chi could have made a comeback. But you do have to definitely apply current logic to that, more than just the hammer being there as a symbol of, like, go for it type thing. And then we get to Moon Knight and Iron Man, and there's really not much to say. At level 80, these characters are just uber busted. The only thing I would mention is that it seems like, from initial testing, Iron Man 80 was a bigger leap for specific things like Dimension Rift and Dispatch Farming compared to Moon Knight. Moon Knight doesn't seem to be doing as much or having as much of an impact. It could be that his attack is lower. It could be that his autoplay rotation on these types of contents is not as good as Iron Man's is. There's a lot of things. It could be an AoE issue, like it could be just due to AoE, but yeah, it could just be a saturation issue, right? Because some people are trying to run Moon Knight and Iron Man together at level 80 for Dispatch, and they're not really seeing a big bump compared to when they just added Iron Man. It could just be that there's a damage saturation, and Iron Man is already doing like 80% of the damage, so Moon Knight can't really push them much faster because the mobs only spawn so fast, right? Like, you can't force the mobs to spawn faster even if you're just nuking them down. So yeah, but otherwise Moon Knight seems to be solid. Again, the only other game mode where Moon Knight seems to be struggling a little bit compared to Iron Man is maybe GBR, but again, we're not really sure the full extent of that. We may see a larger jump from Moon Knight up to tier 4 than we did for Iron Man. This is still very early days on the tier 4 advancement and the level 80 advancement, so we're sort of still all walking hand in hand, blindfolded through, not blindfolded, but like we're walking hand in hand through like a very dark forest, right? We're still trying to figure out exactly what's what. So, you know, I would definitely say if you can afford it, the level 80 increase is absolutely worth it for these two characters, no doubt about it in my mind. But again, the tier 4 upgrade, sort of proceed with caution. Yeah, it's very good, but it may be replaced, and we will be seeing for sure more soon, right? Like, Thor is right around the corner. Thor's knocking on the door with the movie coming out soon. Or Jane Foster could even get a tier 4. Potentially, they could do both of them. I don't know. So just definitely keep that in mind for yourself. I'm not trying to overhype these characters, but I'm also trying to give you a realistic idea of how busted they are, because they're really busted. Like, yeah, at tier 4, Iron Man's better than Doctor Strange. Yeah, Doctor Strange is still really good. Doctor Strange is still really good, and Doctor Strange is probably better than Iron Man for the money, for the value, for GBR. That's 100%. But Iron Man is just like, man, it's not fair, right? He gets like his crazy stab bump. When Doctor Strange gets his tier 4, I can guarantee he'll be better than Iron Man. I can guarantee it. But for now, Iron Man's the GOAT. And then last but not least, we have Doctor Doom, Scarlet Witch, and Thena down here bolded as Universal Gods for GBR. Still just amazing. And actually, Thena got a downgrade. It was funny. Thena got a downgrade when Scarlet Witch came out because Scarlet Witch just replaced her for World Boss Legends, Squad Battle, and ABX, especially ABX. But then GBR came out, and everyone was like, oh, damn, Thena's actually pretty busted. Turns out, when you have 30% Pierce, right, 25% from your cards and 5% from Thena, she makes Ultron. She makes Dormammu look like a little, a little bish. So yeah, Thena's still very, very good, and certainly has not deserved a downgrade further than she's right now. And honestly, we may want to upgrade these characters here. I have to compare their value compared to Supergiant. Supergiant may finally be slipping. I haven't seen too many people sing her praises for GBR. I haven't seen people complain about her either. I'm not saying that, but it's just like, if she's average for GBR and they're godly, then it might be time for them to switch places, is all I'm saying. No knock on Supergiant, just like power creep. So yeah, that's it for the tier list. It's a lot. I didn't go into too much depth with each character. I apologize. We will have an updated tier list in the future where I go into much more depth for the characters, and where we have a more visual overhaul of the rankings, because I hate the fact that there's like 10 plus characters cut off here, just due to the fact that more than 10, to be honest with you, due to the fact that there's just a surplus of good characters. It's good for us, it's good for the players, but we need the tier list to be a bit more restrictive. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. It's good to be back. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one, baby. Take care.